Thanks for tuning in to Koppen with Critic. I'm Brian Koppen with critic Dan Bogosian. Dan Bogosian, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good. Well, we follow you everywhere you are. DL Bogosian across socials. It used to be Twitter and X, and now it's Blue Sky. I mean, you're still on both, but Instagram also, and you have a Substack that's a little bit more comedy for it, and that's called No Laughing Matter. Is that correct?
That is correct. danbogosian.substack.com.
So where you been slanging your comedy?
The Hartford area in Connecticut. I used to live in New York and used to be really big in music and pretty much more stand up than improv at the time, which is silly to look back at. But now comedy's comedy, man.
And so, like, I tried improv briefly, but I thought stand up was so much better just because I had so much more control. I hate being out of control. Are you the rare person who likes to do both?
I like to do both, but it's weird because I had this, what you're saying about it, I absolutely have too. But I think of it that way as like improv has been beneficial to life because obviously in life you don't have that kind of control. So the lessons you learn in improv are helpful as a human being, while the lessons you learn as doing stand up tend to make you more psychopathic rather than less.
Real quick mention, what's your book name and is it on Amazon.com? It's about chili peppers, which we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, it's called Red Hot Chili Peppers FAQ for frequently asked questions. And essentially, it's just a reference. It's not like a narrative story about it. But the way I always put it to people when people are like, oh, like, what's the book about? I'm like, okay, well, it's 110,000 words only about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that's, for context, that's the length of To the Great Gatsby. So if there is a Red Hot Chili Peppers thing you want to know, it's probably in my head already.
Well, the frequently asked question I have, and I'll ask you when you pick your song, is why'd you pick this particular song? Because there's so many to choose from. But we're doing the Hall of Fame face off. We do each of us picked five artists from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a song from each, and we're going to face them off now. And I'm going to go first, which gives you the opportunity to pick a strong song or a weak song, depending on how strong you think my song is. And then you'll go first in the next round. The first one I'm going to pick is let's do Elvis Long Black Limousine. Were you able to listen to the song? What did you think? And what are you going to face off against it?
Oh, I was able to listen to this song, and I did not know how we were going to match up with it. I thought it was even just going to go in order. So now that I get to choose, I'm like, oh, okay. So which one matches with Elvis? That's
And
kind of the
yeah, and they don't have to match, but you can be like, well, I think that Elvis song is weak sauce, so let me pick the weakest one on my list. Or
yeah.
it can be like, oh, that's an impeachably great song. Let me pick a sacrificial lamb to lose against Elvis.
Yeah, I well no, I'm gonna pick probably the most obscure song that I have on my list for it. Right? Not necessarily the weakest, but just the most obscure. So against Elvis Long Black Limousine, I'm gonna choose Stevie Wonder's Sugar.
Yeah.
I like Long Black Limousine. I like Elvis. My mother is obsessed with Elvis, so I've heard I don't know about every Elvis song, but every notable Elvis song hundreds of times. Like we straight up, the last two Christmas gifts I got from my mom are just Elvis bobblehead dolls. I know my way around Elvis quite a bit.
Ah, I didn't
Um,
know they had them. Of course they do. That's great.
oh yeah, they only have two official ones. I'm sure they have several unofficial ones, but there's like him in the white Vegas and then him in the black Vegas outfit. So
Oh,
it's like a
good. I was
Vegas
about to
Elvis
say what
bobblehead.
what era, but yeah, if you have the black leather or whatever that was and the white jumpsuit, you got it all.
Yeah, yeah. They try to encapsulate all of his Vegas era essentially.
The two live outfits he had. Yeah.
Yeah,
So why'd you pick Sugar and like because I hadn't heard it, but I do like how yeah, it is an active bass line, but also I like that the bass line leads you around to a bunch of places. Like it'll change, I don't know, keys or octaves. That's just an
yeah.
active song in terms of where it's going.
So like my history with Stevie Wonder is we the video listeners won't know, but I'm an extremely white person. Grew up in Connecticut, not exactly an area filled with R&B and soul and Motown jams playing for you. But I was obviously familiar with Stevie Wonder's hits because he's just culturally a pillar. I mean, he's Stevie Wonder even if you don't know his songs or his B-sides or not the hits. We all know Stevie Wonder as a cultural icon, and I was always more of an album listener rather than a singles listener. So at some point, it was like I need to go exploring, and I kind of went through all of the notable albums, especially like that 5 or 6 album run he had in the '70s, where every album hit number one.
Wow.
And one of those albums is Signed, Sealed, Delivered. And a lot of the songs, particularly in like the full album vinyl era, where you couldn't just pick one song and it be on shuffle the way we can with Spotify and streaming now, like a lot of the songs that aren't singles are in fact skippable because I mean, he's cranking out an album every 6 months. Not people aren't that productive anymore, and for good reason. But I remember hearing that bluesy piano intro and just being like, oh, like what's this? And then when I heard the drums coming, even more than the bass line, it was just like, this is such a funky beat. Like I can't believe nobody sampled it for a hip hop song. And even now when I hear it, I'm just like, that dude can drum. And then you look up who can drummer, and Stevie Wonder is the drummer. He
Oh my
was a drummer
God.
on most of his songs. He started as a drummer, not a pianist,
Oh no.
not a singer.
That's great.
And it just, that song blows my mind. I love the key change in it and how he goes even higher. I'm not going to do an impression of it because I not only can't sing very well, but I certainly can't sing anywhere near as well as Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, he
But
goes
that
higher
song,
higher than I've ever heard him before. It was really impressive.
yeah, I don't know that it's his literal highest thing, but like he does the background vocals up like a and then it just goes up another whole step, and it's like, oh, that's I can't even do an impression of it. It's so wild,
Oh no,
and
that
it's
impression
just
was perfect. You're not white. You're not the whitest guy. If you can do that impression, you're great.
thanks, yeah, yeah. Just pretend I had soul and talent behind it, and that's where we'd be. But yeah, for me, it's just like one of the most danceable Stevie Wonder songs, and like nobody knows it. And I like the Elvis Presley song, but I love the Stevie Wonder tune.
Yeah, and I think the Elvis Presley song, what I like about it is that it's one of those songs where, this girl that he liked went off to the big city and she dreamed of fortune and fame and coming back and flaunting it in her big, beautiful car. And it turns out when she came back in a long black limousine because she was dead. And one of the things you can look at, like online, there's probably an unofficial music video for this, and it's the long white limousine of Elvis going through Memphis or wherever he was from. And just it was really neat because it's like 70s or whatever, and these people are just like clamoring for a look at this thing, and it's great. But it kind of reminded me of He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones, which is another thing where like he just kept loving her. He dated her in the 50s, kept loving her, and finally he died. And so the only way he could stop loving her is if he died. And so that's another thing where it's only at the end you realize, oh shit, this person is dead, and that's why he stopped loving her today. So I do like the song. What's the next song you're gonna pick off your list, and then I'll tell you when I'm gonna face off against it.
I'm going to pick, just because we mentioned the book, so I kind of want to just hop into it and dork out about it. I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
take the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the song I'm picking for them is Aeroplane. I can get into it, or we can talk about your song at
Y-
what first with Aeroplane. I'll
Yeah.
leave that to you.
Yeah, let me yeah, I'll talk. Mine is kind of a sacrificial lamb just because I know it's going to lose to a guy who wrote the book on the Chili Peppers. You're going to have some cool stories about it. I'm going to pick Paul McCartney's Temporary Secretary, and I don't really love Paul McCartney being in there twice. Initially, I thought he was in the Rock Hall 3 times because of Wings, but I guess it's only twice, and so I'm a little bit less pissed off. But I just hadn't heard a lot from Paul McCartney, solo career that was like, oh, of course he should be in. And I told this to a couple critics, and one of them mentioned Temporary Secretary, and I was like, oh, that's the only song I like. I do like a Paul McCartney solo song, and so I thought it was strange and cool and just interesting. It's a little bit dicey in terms of is this woman a love interest or an employee or both? So the lyrics are a little bit dicey, but it's interesting because it's just weird. And then Red Hot Chili Peppers Aeroplane, it's like yeah, I'm gonna punt that one to you to just serve you up right now. Why this song out of all the amazing Red Hot Chili Pepper songs, and who was the guitarist on it? Was the Hillel guy or was it Frusciante?
Neither. So this
Oh,
is from,
Navarro?
yeah, this is from the one album with Dave Navarro on
Oh, there you
guitar.
go. You're a Navarro guy.
Well, yeah, some people say with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, some people think like One Hot Minute is the Dave Navarro album, and some people think it's the weakest one. I don't think it's the best one. I just think it's the most un-Chili Peppers one. Like everyone else
Yeah.
kind of be going for more of a funk thing. And then One Hot Minute, they're almost like a psychedelic hard rock band. And then even why I chose the song is like twofold reasons. One, despite it being like their least funky album, it's the funkiest song they ever wrote. And then two, I wanted to like put one of the songs that is actually lyrically good, since so many Chili Pepper songs are them basically being the meme of themselves of like Soul to Squeeze is a great song, but he literally does a paragraph of do 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 dang dang don don that it's like I couldn't put that up there and self-respect myself. But
Yeah.
Aeroplane, the whole song is about him spiraling into drug addiction, but he feels sober and good about himself when music plays. And
Yeah.
even
That's kind of
some of the
the
lyrics that seem nonsensical are just actually deep lyrics referencing the music he liked at the time. So like Mazzy Star is a specific he's talking about how he's when he's doing heroin, he feels less alone listening to Mazzy Star. And it's just
Really?
crazy that people are like, oh, what a dumb lyric. And I'm like, no, this is actually really deep.
Yeah, for him it's pretty deep, because he's kind of like Stipe in that he's kind of a, stream of consciousness lyric writer, but for him he was always like, I'm going to pick the word based on the music that I have, meaning I know how long this word can last. I know what it has to rhyme with to stay with the rhythm. So he's not like let me write all these lyrics like Bob Dylan and shoehorn it into a repetitive 4-minute song. He's just like, oh, I need a word that rhymes with flip flop, and then he's going to
Yeah.
say hip hop after that. And so this was
Yeah.
surprisingly sensical. And then there's the kids at the end, which are kind of, you're like, kids in a song. Like Kevin Gates recently did it with Bread Straight. And I was like, it kind of makes sense. But kids singing about an aeroplane, even though kids would probably sing about an airplane, not an aeroplane, like it makes sense to me. Kids are in their airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
why the kids? Why do you think he put the kids in there?
oh, so I know if you didn't know, the kids in it are a children's choir, but it's a children's choir that's basically Flea's daughter's class.
Oh,
Like it's not
cool.
even necessarily musicians in a real choir. That's why they're not doing harmony. But it's literally just it's what's her name, Claire Balzera, who's also now their photographer. When you see photos from the past two Chili Peppers albums, they're done by Claire Balzery, and that's Michael Flea Balzery. That's the Flea, his bassist. The daughter is their photographer now. But this is when she
Oh,
was like 7 years old, so it's just a second grade classroom. Like, come over to the recording studio on the weekend, kids, and then it just says do this, and that's just like it's got a childlike innocence to it, and I feel like that gives it more depth as opposed to almost making it a joke. Because again, the song is about how music is joyful and it gives them life.
yeah.
And then that's what the kids do to it. And it seems ridiculous, but at the same time, because it just threads that needle, it really, really lands for me.
Oh, that's good. And now talk about it in terms of why you love it over Paul McCartney and why Paul McCartney should only be in there with the Beatles.
Well, I'll say this too. I love Paul McCartney's solo stuff, and
Yeah,
I
what song
actually
can you
really
recommend? Please turn me on some great Paul McCartney solo stuff.
well, I think the hits. And so, are you a Beatles guy or no?
Oh, sure, yeah, I love the Beatles.
Because like I think people think "Baby I'm Amazed" is a Wings song, and it's a Paul McCartney solo tune from I think McCartney 2. And what's particularly funny about that song, or even that album is all just Paul McCartney rushing out demos. He plays every instrument. Almost every song on the album is an incomplete idea, and then at the end of it is "Maybe I'm Amazed," and it's just this incredible love song that's fucking perfect. And everybody else is just like, oh, it's like a Beatles tune or a Wings tune. It's like, no, that's him fucking around. Sometimes when Paul McCartney fucks around, it's genius. A lot of
He
the
fucked
times it's
around and
temporary
found out.
secretary. But
It's
like,
that's a good thing. But that's so cool. You're
yeah,
just saying he's a great songwriter who just kind of it's kind of like Frank Black after the Pixies, where it's just like you're a prolific person. You don't want to be locked in by Joey Santiago or Kim Deal, and you
yeah.
just want to
And I
get
mean,
nutty.
On the Frank Black note too, it's always funny because he'll appear on other people's records, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. But it's just the idea that like you wouldn't get the good if he was trying to filter as much. Like I think of I don't know if you've ever listened to Mike Watt's first solo record.
I don't think so.
So Mike Watt is the bassist and one of the songwriters for the Minutemen, and then later the bassist and songwriter for Firehose, and just the bassist for the Stooges and Porno for Pyros and stuff.
Oh, really?
Basically, like an '80s alt rock hardcore, like Scene King, Jam Bacano. One of the bands from Our Band Could Be Your Life, like Mike Watt, cool guy. But after Firehose broke up, he did a solo album called Ball-Hog or Tugboat, and I can't justify that name. And the album artwork to it is all like Greco-Roman nude men wrestling each other. And the way the booklet is done, because every song is him with a random lineup of what are now like, wow, rock gods. But at the time, we're just like scene guys that were his friends. Like in 1994, it's like the drummer from Nirvana. And now it's like, that's Dave Grohl you're talking about. And at the time, it was like, oh, like the vocalist from Pearl Jam, and it's like that's Eddie Vedder you're talking about, and it's like Chris Novoselic, like oh, the bassist from Nirvana, and it's like Fleas on trumpet, and it's just every single song is just someone who now you'd be like, wow, this is Sonic Youth featuring Dinosaur Jr. with Mike Watt on bass, but
Oh,
at the time
wow.
you're like, all right, cool, I guess.
That's
But so
great.
like, I highly recommend finding that album, listening to it, streaming it, whatever. But every lineup in it is chaotic. And one of them, I forget who the band is, but one of them on vocals and acoustic guitar is Frank Black.
Oh
And the name of
wow.
the song is Chinese Fire Drill.
Oh good.
And
I
the lyric, I believe, is something like, trying to make sense of this life is like trying to do a Chinese fire drill. And it's like,
Aw.
wow, that's weirdly deep, but also like, what are you saying, Frank Black?
He had a
And
way of
yeah,
he had a way of doing that, and it's like after Chili Peppers, like after he kind of left, and then before he came back for Shanti, I was a huge for Shanti head as far as solo albums, and so I mean I love when these people who are geniuses just kind of like spread their wings and are weird and are great. And let me pick another name off my list because that we won't run out of time. Let's do Run DMC's Rock Box. What are you going to face off against it? What do you think about the song?
oh man, I'm going to lose this one. So this is going to be the one I tank.
Okay, good,
I'm going to
good.
choose Pearl Jam's Parachutes, which I think is
Yes.
a great song. But when I was even listening to this, I was like, oh, Rockbox might be any of my choices. So I got to be careful about
Well,
this.
yeah, it's good to know because it's really like given your choices. I was like, I don't know what you'll think about Rockbox. Why do you like it? And then why did you even pick Parachutes as a Pearl Jam song? Because to me, it's Eddie. Like, I've been to, a couple Pearl Jam shows, and Frank Black was opening for Pearl Jam in one of them, so that was great. But there's a point in time where I think it seemed like Eddie Vedder just like consulted a vocal coach, and he's like, "How can I make my voice last?" And he was like, "Well, Eddie, you're gonna have to start singing like a warbling chicken, or you're gonna have a shaky ass voice." And like the shaky ass voice to me was Parachutes throughout. And at the end, there was some cool like Brian May layering of guitar, but just it was Eddie at his vocal shakiness. What do you think about Eddie's kind of vocal stages of his career?
I totally hear everything you're saying. I've never thought about it that way, but it's now that you're saying that, like, I mean, there's not going to be video for this, but I'm like nodding the whole time, and it's yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's particularly like the Avocado album is where you hear that change because he'll still do kind of like a growl at times on it. Like Live Wasted, he'll still sing like a more screamier thing, but it's not what it was in the '90s where it's like how is that guy going to be able to sing the next night for 2 hours? He's clearly adjusting and withholding and kind of doing it as a trick as opposed to just going for it. I chose Parachutes because I almost consider it like a sequel to the well-known Pearl Jam song Black, because Black is about like first love, and the lyric that almost always makes me cry is it's just like, I know you'll be the star in someone else's sky, but why can't it be mine?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
the best lyric
Parachutes
from
is
Black.
almost,
Yeah.
for sure, I mean, it's one of the best lyrics of all time. Like, that's, I can't believe a 20-year-old, a 20 something wrote that. That's like the end of your life maturity reflection and
Yeah.
sadness.
And
But
it almost makes it worth it that he prefaced it or followed it with do 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 do.
yeah, yeah, David Letterman's favorite lyric. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
I just love when
Um,
he would just he'd start singing like Eddie, and then Eddie would come out, and he was also big into Foo Fighters, so I just
yeah,
enjoyed how Dave loved those people.
yeah, the clip of that always comes out on my Instagram, and it's one of those things like, I know it's going to happen. I've seen it 1,000 times, but I'm hooked the second. I'm like, oh, it's going to be Eddie surprising Dave right now.
Yeah.
Um, but Parachutes feels like a sequel to that, where it's almost like about how good love is when you've settled and accepted it, as opposed to like how life is hard without you, in the terms of like, you're leaving me. It's about how life is hard, but at least we have this love and I'm accepted. And that breaks my heart in a different way.
Oh, cool. And so
But
how did you get there lyrically? Because if I don't like a song, I'm not going to go into it lyrically. Like, were you able to pay, did you have to go to look to a lyric sheet in order to enjoy the song, or did you hear like was you kind of are
no,
able to
I
hear
think
his
when I
distinct
first
lyrics?
heard it, I was a music theory major. So I think when I first heard it, I was just like, oh, this is a weird time signature. That's an interesting chord progression, and completely overlooking like all of the Eddie Vedder aspect of the vocal melody and the lyrics to it. And then at some point, you start to learn the lyrics, you start to learn the melody, and it's like, love, what a different life had I not found this love for you. And I'm trying, what's the thing he says before the first chorus there? Like, I don't want to know your past, but together share the dawn, and I won't need nothing else. It's just like, eventually the pieces of the puzzle filled out and gave it clarity and depth, as opposed to just me being like, oh wow, this is, you can tell that this drummer was in Soundgarden. It's suddenly there's depth there. But I would still go with Rockbox, because Rockbox, for one, it's just like an all-time great rap song, but for two, removing its own greatness, in terms of influence, it's kind of like one of the first rap rock songs. And people go to Run-DMC, like with Aerosmith Walk This Way and, the Public Enemy Anthrax song. But the way it's just this hard rock riff, but they're rapping over it, kind of sets the precedent for 10 years of alt rock in the 90s. But then also, even taking away the alt rock thing of it, as a hip hop song, you still hear it today, where maybe you don't hear it all the time, but like the piano melody that's going in the background, at the very least, like Macklemore used it for the song Downtown 5-10 years ago.
Okay.
And I just can still hear it in almost all modern hip hop that's going for a hook, where it's one of the first songs where it's like there's a musical hook and yeah, we're rapping over it. And I
That's
just give it's just like you could release it today and I'd be like, damn, this song is good. And that's rare for an 80s rap song.
Yeah, and he said it's fresh, and I'm like, yeah, it does sound fresh. And yesterday I was talking to a critic about he brought up Sabotage, and in the Sabotage for Beastie Boys, he brought up Run DMC, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hopefully talk about Rock Box tomorrow, so I can see a little bit of rock, in the rap rock thing. And yeah, once I heard this Rock Box thing, it was really recently in the past 10, 20 years, and I was just like, this thing's fucking amazing because the guitar also is kind of it shreds pretty hard, you know.
Oh
And so
yeah,
what?
and if it's a sample, I don't know where it's from. So I'm right now, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just giving Run DMC full credit for that groove. It's
Yeah,
great.
that's fucking amazing. So what are you gonna pick your next song on the list?
I'm scared because we each have two songs left, so I know what the last two matchups are, no matter what. After you choose your counterpunch, so I'm gonna go with the longer of my two songs, which is Donna Summer's "Love to Love You, Baby."
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that against Spinner's Rubber Band Man. And are you talking about the Donna Summers 16-minute version or the 3-minute version?
Oh yeah, give me the full version. I want the one with the 4-minute orgasm solo. That's the one I want.
Yeah. There was actually an orgasm solo. Yeah, I was talking to another critic and he picked another Donna Summer song, and this was his other one. And he said those are the only two songs I like, and he described both as being psychedelic. And I was like, that is so. It's true because it was kind of fucking bizarre. I mean, hearing it is very disorienting just because her vocal is just kind of it's not that perfectly strong, but throughout those 16 minutes or whatever it is, there's just cool musical interludes.
Yeah, it's such a simple groove and such a simple chord progression, but the way they structure it, it always feels unexpected, which is really hard to say about a 16-minute song with only 3 or 4 parts to it. But it's just such a every part of it is danceable, even when all the instruments come out of it and it's just her singing, love to love you, baby.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting too, because I feel like the same 30 seconds of it appears in media all the time, and it's almost always a go-to for orgy scenes, which is weird to say, but it like was in that Mike Myers show from Netflix, which for the record, not a great show, the Pentaveret. But then it was also like in Zoolander when Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller make love to Ben Stiller's wife, which what a sentence that is on its own. But
It's
like
good.
it
It's good you're
appears in
explaining it
movies.
because I thought Dan Bogosian was just into orgy scenes or something, but you're
Yeah,
naming
no, I'm into
comedy
the music.
movies. Yeah.
I watch the orgy scenes for the music. I go to Pornhub for the soundtrack. No, uh, but like that, honestly, probably Zoolander was probably my exposure to it because I was probably 10 years old. Like, oh, what the heck music is this? But it's to me, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. I wouldn't necessarily call it the deepest because it straight up is an ode to oral sex. It's in that way, no one's going to be like that's like if someone got married to the song, they should be slapped in the face. But
That'd be so great. They'd only heard the radio version and the DJ brought the long
yeah,
version.
yeah. For my first dance, I'll play.
But I
But
remember it being in Friends, her trying to sing it, and I was like, "What the hell is she doing?" And I guess she was doing the PG version of the orgasm. I was like, "That's not how that song goes," because she was going, "Love to love you, baby, ow." That was like the orgasm. That was, it's just like when her nipple showed. There was like that's
yeah,
Jennifer Aniston. That's network nipple they called it. And so that was a network Donna Summer, "Love to Love You, Baby." There's one more song. We're almost out of time, but I really want to talk about your last song. And your pick is what?
David Bowie's Heroes, and
Yeah,
I
I
believe
got
yours
it.
is Chuck Berry's Almost Grown.
Yeah, and so Almost Grown is just kind of it's a fun one. I love it. I don't listen to a lot of Chuck Berry, but for some reason this one is just in my rotation where I always go back to it. But tell me about we've had a lot of Bowie on the show. He's not his catalog is so big and diverse that he's lost. A lot of times he wins on this podcast, but I gotta know why Heroes.
Heroes is potentially my all-time number one song, regardless of artist.
Why?
Uh, yes, I might be a crazy statement, but that's my truth, Brian.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking your truth, now justify your truth. How the hell can it be your favorite song, let alone your favorite Bowie song?
So it's one, there's personal association to it, but even
Yeah,
though again musically it's not the craziest thing, it's four chords, it's in four the whole time, four, yeah, it's in four, it's swinging the whole time though.
yeah. Musical's good. The music part of it's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's lyrically, it's one of the times that a lot of times songwriters tell a story with a clear narrative, and this, the narrative isn't even that clear so much as there's just a clear metaphor, and then there's kind of like a turning point within that metaphor because it's clearly about like people struggling to be together, and there's the wall, and then like, well, it doesn't matter, screw them, we're gonna be together anyway, and like that's it. There's no necessarily deeper story,
So there's a
but
metaphor because yeah, all I heard is I can be king, you can be my queen, and I was like, ah, simple and stupid. And then he was like, you can be mean, and I can drink all the time. And I'm like,
yeah,
dude, what the fuck is this song, man? How is this song
yeah,
about
but
heroes? But you're saying it's a metaphor for like a man and a woman treasuring each other, even though it gets difficult.
yeah, things are bad, but we love each other. And he straight up, he wrote it because it comes from his Berlin era where he just saw a couple like saying goodbye. And it wasn't
Oh,
like they were literally on opposing sides of the wall, but he saw that and was just like, what if two people loved each other and they were on opposite sides of the wall? And
oh,
so the whole song is just them being like, okay. And it's just his metaphor of like, we can't be together, but we're going to be together. And
oh.
every line, as messed up as they may be at times, I feel that. And you can almost feel how the song starts because it's another long song. It's not 16 minutes and it doesn't have an orgasm solo.
Too
Uh,
bad. I
yeah,
would like to
for
hear
sure.
a Bowie orgasm. Him and Mick Jagger
Well,
getting
if you,
kinky
you can
together.
hear it kind of close because I don't know if you know this too, and I hope your listeners will appreciate this. David Bowie was fluent in multiple languages, so you can hear this song in English, I believe, French, German, and Italian as well. And
And he
my
sings them
favorite,
all?
yes, and because
Oh,
he
wow.
actually spoke all those languages, so it's
That's
not like
awesome.
dubbed by someone else. It's like there is a David Bowie Heroes in German, and it's very interesting to hear him put the same emotional delivery on things that orally don't sound the same
Oh, cool.
because I don't speak German, but when he goes like "Das mein Vater," like it doesn't hit the same way for me. But listen to it; it's a fun experiment. But it's like what he does in every language that you can kind of come through is like the first half of it, he's more detached, where it's like we can't be together, and then right before the backing vocals come in, it's like we're gonna be together anyway, and his voice starts to break at the same time on every version with every language.
Oh, good.
And for him as a performer, I think A plus. I can barely do that in English. I can't do that in German and French and Italian. But then lyrically, to me, it makes it deeper than the words alone could convey. It's like the iceberg thing. We're like, we can always see the iceberg and be like, that's a little confusing. But when I can hear just the nature of like, and the shame was on the other side, every other lyric just doesn't matter to me. And just all of a sudden, you have what you need, and that's it. The rest is noise, and it just makes every other song by anyone just feels one or two notches below for me.
Yeah, and whenever I hear somebody like just say this song is the best, and I'm like, why? It's normally because the person knows what the lyric means. It was a metaphor all along, and I had no idea. Like I nominated "Perfect Day" by Lou Reed, and the other dude was like, "That's about heroin," and I was like, "Oh, that makes the jarring final lyrics like you're gonna reap what you sow." I'm like, I thought they were having a perfect day drinking
Yeah,
sangria in the park, But
yeah.
one or two sentences about Almost Grown. What do you think about Chuck Berry? And then we'll have to wrap up.
I love Chuck Berry. Maybe not as a person; he seems like a nasty person. But as a musician, I love Chuck Berry. I like Almost Grown, but it feels a little kiddie to me, which not
Yeah,
just the lyrical matter, but it almost feels like him shoving in some 50s or doo-wop backing vocals as opposed to just being Chuck Berry. It makes it fun, but it doesn't have the depth that I give to my heavyweight of heroes.
yeah,
Great guitarist, world would not be the same without the man.
yeah. And I also think there's a hilarious SNL sketch with Will Ferrell about how these artists would always talk about the the girl they were targeting, or edge of 17, targeting a boy, like these people were like, oh, she's only 16. And then Chucky Lee Bird, it was called SNL, Will Ferrell, he kept singing like younger and younger girls, she was only 14, she was only 13. And the people are shocked because they're announcing this as the greatest hits of, those television things. These are all the greatest hits of Chucky Lee Bird, the legend. And they're just taken aback by how young these things are. And when you look at Almost Grown, you're kind of like, I don't know, man. I think it's just Chuck Berry lusting, after a underage chick, so it might be problematic. But we follow Dan Bogosian everywhere. It's DL Bogosian on all the socials, including Blue Sky, which is the next big thing. And of course, your Chili Peppers book is on Amazon.com. What's it called?
Red Hot Chili Peppers FAQ. But if you Google Dan Bogosian, it'll probably be the first or second thing that comes up.
Oh, good. And then also No Laughing Matter. What kind of stuff are you doing on danbogosian.substack.com? Are you doing comedy articles or like clips of your stand-up?
We're talking about how to get better at doing comedy, whether that's sketch or improv or stand up. And then sometimes it is just a personal thing of like, oh man, that set went awesome. Or wow, I am terrible and everyone should be ashamed to know me. And those are pretty much the two poles I operate on.
Yeah, it's a blog about comedy, getting better at it, and me. And actually, like when we moved to New York City, there was a guy named Matt Ruby, and he's still banging. He's still going on Mark Norman's podcast because they used to be close, or they are close. And
He's got a good Substack himself. I follow Matt Ruby.
Oh, good. Yeah, Matt Ruby had Sandpaper Suit, where he's talking about. I mean, it used to be a blog, so maybe he's putting all of them on a Substack, which is great because I really appreciated Sandpaper Suit because he would do that thing where it's like all tonight I went up, nobody was paying attention, and I figured if you're not funny, at least be interesting, and that way it'll get people listening again, and maybe you can hit them with some more jokes. And so I find myself quoting that in everyday life with my creative collaborators, like, well, if you can't be funny, be interesting. And so yeah, Sandpaper Suit, I want to say it had a lot of value to me. Like I really appreciated it. And so it's good that No Laughing Matter, danbogosian.substack.com is around. Dan Bogosian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Brian.